Yes.
Right. So apparently, when I asked him why he said he'd quit after this tournament, he said he just got bored with so many times of every time he gets invited, he's either playing against Chaos or he's playing against Space Marines. That's all he got to play against. Which
Okay.
I assume that's like how a lot of people get with certain RTSs when they're not, you know, pro level and all that, and when the RTS isn't really balanced like accordingly. When, you know, because the one problem with Dawn of War 2 is that it's not going to ever be a really perfect balance because of the amount of races and the amount of units and the amount of situational things that can happen. Where like all of a sudden, well, especially with the Elite mod, where it adds a lot of interesting, but a lot of missed and interesting units from Dawn of War 1, and from just general Warcraft lore, like the Raptors and stuff, that changed the whole dynamic of how Chaos played. So it causes problems in balance.
Yeah, obviously. On the other hand, you don't need a perfectly balanced game to have a nice game at this.
Yeah, that's true too. Sometimes the problem with perfect balance is that you end up having boring games. But the thing about it is that Dawn of War 2 is because of the way it's designed and how a few things can be based around luck, and just like sometimes I'll just be super unlucky and like my Havoc squad just loses 2 models the second that they get attacked by like 2 melee squads and get insta-gibbed. You know,
yeah.
That's just unlucky. If it was more like, I guess, StarCraft and stuff, where it's a lot less based on luck, you'd have a lot more patches be more about more like, oh, we're just going to change the meta around a bit and we'll change some stuff around. But now a lot of balance patches are just balance patches to try and balance the game even more and more. And also, me lowering my graphics settings actually helped me a lot. I could see a lot more.
Oh, look at this. Okay,
I see a lot more, and I don't have as much lag. In fact, I think I loaded in second of all of everyone else.
So yeah, apparently the game commences. We have some IG play, interestingly enough. Fr33man went for Inquisitor, and we have Warps by the Exarch, which haven't we seen yet too. In green, white.
Interesting choice of the Warp Spider Exarch and Inquisitor versus the Force Commander and the Chaos Lord, because Chaos Lord and Force Commander are very tanky melee heroes, very, very strong in the late game. And then the thing about the Warp Spider Exarch and that he's ranged and that he can get some tanky, or some, not tanky, but some very strong items, but he's not exactly the most man-moding hero in the game. I'd say he's one of the worst man-moding heroes until the late game, when he gets a lot of items.
Both the Warp Spider Exarch as well as the Inquisitor have a lot of options to disable enemy units, snaring them or stunning them or something like that, phasing them out or gravity grenading them, something like that. Heavy gauge death spinner as well. So if they play it nice, and they bring certainly a lot of utility, but it's rather difficult to play them well. So quite the contrary on tanky melee heroes. I'm not saying they are played easy, but they have a very specific role.
They're a lot more right-clicky. Force Commander already forced off the field.
Yes.
And actually, the Tactical Space Marines being jumped in on melee by the Warp Spider Exarch, constantly tying them up in melee, actually forces them off the field too.
Yeah.
And now the scouts are being attacked by the Warp Spider Exarch, and they're forced off. So that's entire left side going completely off the field, and both power generators kind of open, and it gives the Eldar a chance to actually cap and decap the map as much as they can.
Yeah, on the other hand, the Chaos Lord has pushed all the way into the base of Fr33man. Didn't do a whole lot, and we see a double setting in play, apparently, which has this valve symbol, which you know from Counter-Strike.
The problem I found with the double Sentinels from Fr33man here is that double Sentinels can work. Once the Sentinels start getting levels and getting some real damage out, they'll start doing a lot more damage, but because of the way that this map is designed, the Sentinels really can't do much because there's a lot of green cover, so they're gonna have to go around just stomping, destroying all cover. But then that hurts the IG because then they can't have cover.
Yes, that's very true.
So the Sentinels are definitely gonna have to be well microed in order to really have a game impact here.
As well as it's definitely not necessary to upgrade both to the ground pound, since
probably not.
Rex apparently went double CSM into Havocs, so we will have a lot of ranged firepower.
And that's going to really hurt those Sentinels, and this is actually a good counter strat to the Sentinels, to double Sentinels, because the Chaos Lord can deal with a lot of stuff in melee. The one thing that Chaos have always had over the IG is that they always had the melee advantage in the Heretics, but they don't need they don't need it. And actually, here the IG commander, the Inquisitor, caught way out of position there by the Havocs, and they're just going to go flank. But we have a flank coming in from the Eldar. Right on top of those Havocs, and those Havocs can't retreat. They're stuck.
Yes. And they
and
wiped. Wow.
And stuff like that is why Dawn of War 2 is kind of, you know, they kind of got bugged, and so those type of bugs just kind of irritate people to the point where I understand why they don't find it competitive. Because when that type of stuff happens, when you've told them to retreat and they retreat and then they get stuck in melee, like they start fighting in melee as they retreat, that's a terrible bug, and that's just a terrible bad bug. Like, I honestly have said to stop attacking after that. That's just really shitty to deal with.
Yeah, true. But on the other hand, you just shouldn't be forgetting that this is totally fan-made.
No, it's not the mod's fault. The mod's fine. I'm just saying the game in general has bugs like that. Like, even in retail, those bugs exist. So it's just a terrible thing from Relic to make a game like that.
Yeah, it's really sad that these kind of random, occasionally happening things just impact the game so much.
Yeah.
I mean, each of us has experienced clicking on X to retreat a unit and it didn't work for whatever reason. I even caught a Hive Tyrant stopping retreating in the middle of the field. It's just random bugs and nobody knows why they are happening. And apparently the mod designers can't do anything about it. It's just impossible for them, since it's the game, so... it's just so...
These Sentinels already have permission for the longest time, and I think this double Sentinel thing was really a bad idea. And now we actually have a squad of Chaos Raptors out, which were introduced in the Elite mod, at least for Dawn of War 2. They were in Dawn of War 1, of course. It'll be interesting to get to see these Raptors really work with the Chaos Lord. I remember hearing a lot about how Raptors really work with the Chaos Lord, because the Chaos Lord is like the Chaos version of the Force Commander, of course. And as such, he really is the Chaos version of the Force Commander. Therefore, they can work really well with him. And the Raptors also get the ability to get Melta guns and Melta bombs in Tier 2. And just look at the range damage from this Chaos. It's a really nice strategy to fight off this Sentinel type of play that's happening. But then the Raptors are also very good for just countering the weapons teams. But as you see here, we have to see that Blue is already having to do a double team up on both sides, because they just don't have the sustainability otherwise. And actually, we have the Warp Spider Exarch caught in a little bit of position there. He can just teleport out.
I trust there is purpose to this interruption.
Yeah, on the other hand, well, I have to correct you on Melta guns for the Raptors in Tier 2. This Tier 3.
I mean Tier 3, yeah, it's Tier 3.
But you totally get your point. Since Chaos didn't have a jump troop in retail, they had to deal with suppression teams, a little bit different.
It was a bit of an art, and look at that. Like, the second that one side has lost something, the other side's moving in to defend with them. So I think that really, what is it? Red team's gonna have to just go ahead and take the fact that their opponents are just double teaming them constantly. Like, if one moves out, the other one's gonna come in. just go ahead and accept this and just move together as two, because this is just getting ridiculous how they're just moving in as like one unified like army, and not really, and that's just how they're going to have to play, and that's just how they're playing this. So Chaos and Space Marines just going to have to play their game, just move around as two. And really, Chaos and Space Marines have the advantage with playing that game, because with playing that game, they have so much more sustainability on the map. Look at how Chaos just single-handedly forced off like 2 Eldar squads and 2 IG squads, and are basically forcing off the Sents alone. Meanwhile, look at these Banshees caught way out of position, gonna get attacked by 2.
They will die,
yeah, they're definitely dead. Yeah. There they go.
Oh,
so look at that. When both of them worked together, they knew they had the advantage, because the only reason that Blue was doing that is because they just don't have the sustainability on the field when Red doubles up on them like that.
That's true for every Elder unit.
Yeah, Eldar just can't last that long, and we have Wraithguard coming out from Topi, and Sternguard veterans for Adila.
I don't think Wraithguard is a good decision for this.
Actually,
since there's both ASM and Raptors in the opponent's team.
Yeah, and we actually have double Mark of Zinch on those Chaos Space Marines, and we have the Raptor Squad getting their sergeant. So there's just going to be a lot of anti setup team in this group. And even though both teams are tier 2, like look at these ASM. They just jump into the fight, instantly use
big Manticore.
Oh, that was a big Manticore strike on
so many model strike.
The Chaos Space Marines there. Not too often that you see Manticore in 1v1, but you do see a lot in the 2v2 games. So it was a good decision to kind of fight off a lot of the Chaos and Space Marines, at least to catch them all in position. But because they don't have anything,
we still haven't seen any ground pound upgrade for the Sentinels. I think
neither one.
You should purchase one, just to counter these Raptors and ASM if they actually jump in. On the other hand, he did nice to preserve both of them into tier 2.
Yeah, he did.
And he has quite a large army right now. Not that combat efficient army, obviously. And he should be decapping victory point here and not trying to do some damage with his guardsmen. And scouts moving in, or a grenade coming up.
This is going to be a massive grenade if they can get this off.
Yeah, but now they decided to run around. I think
actually we have the stomp upgrade on one of the Sentinels now.
Yes, good decision, I think. And there the Space Marines come back. Green team doing quite well on the other hand. If you look at VPs and map, it's since they are doubling them all the time. And the Sentinels are in trouble. Yeah, Legion Marines just killing one. Let the Galaxy burn, second Sentinel down. Yeah. And some support in Stormtroopers. Idling nowhere. Force Commander has his Power Fist, apparently. Yes. Upgrading to the teleport attack, so we have just yet another.
Wow. Those Dire Avenger squads almost dying to the
Zinch Marines.
to the Zinch Marines.
They're already level 2, both squads. And the Manticore will be in trouble. Since we have a teleporting Force Commander with the Power Fist. So.
Yeah. And we have Raptors jumping in on those wow, those Wraithguard are really losing out. And we actually have a really defensive position here from the Imperial Guard.
Oh, big grenade,
grenade thrown in there, and that killed off the squad inside of the bunker right there.
There's a Guardian weapon team.
Now the Force Commander is kind of just doing his own thing, because he can do whatever he wants, as he has to teleport back in the Power Fist.
Yeah,
and there he's gonna jump right on top of this Manticore, and he's gonna kill this Manticore off in literal seconds. Two more hits. One more hit.
And
Manticore's out of commission.
what did he use to repair this Manticore?
I think this bunker was upgraded to a repair bunker.
Okay.
Because I remember them mentioning that earlier in the game in the chat.
I did miss that. And it's quite a range for repairing.
Red is kind of just trying to supplement a little bit of a grasp on the map. They have a decent hold of the map overall, and for all intents and purposes, they could just move in on anyone on either side and just take out whatever they wanted.
Yeah, and let the galaxy burn from this Chaos Lord. Really punishing Space Marines. Imperial Guard. Light grenade on the bunker. How often do you see that?
And the thing is, this bunker was really hard countered just by the heretics with the grenade launcher.
Yes.
Because they do so much damage to units and buildings. It's slightly ridiculous that they even decided to use a bunker when they, considering that they had so much grenades on the enemy team.
I mean, look at this. Rex has a full ranged build, so to say, despite his Raptors. He has double Zinch Marines, grenade launchers, a Dreadnought, and a Chaos Lord with Let the Galaxy Burn.
His tier 2 might have seemed a bit odd because of the fact that his tier 2 is just so very, very, very large, but his tier 2 is also very, very strong.
For Chaos?
With whatever it's doing. Yeah, for Chaos.
Yeah,
because his tier 2 is actually very hard to take down for the Imperial Guard. And even the Eldar are gonna have troubles with it because they just don't have the damage for it.
Yeah, apparently the current meta is that most Chaos players are totally fine with just staying in tier 2 all the time.
Which is actually similar to what it was back in retail, because if you remember in retail, Chaos didn't have as many tier 3 units as they do now. They actually had fewer tier 2 to 3 units. They virtually were always a tier 2 team. And actually, they're trying to take out that last cannon. There goes the last cannon for the Imperial Guard, and the commander almost went down as well.
Yeah, 3-man under serious pressure here, and so Topi getting pushed back.
This is the game right here, I think, because both teams, both Chaos and Space Marines can take on their respective sides and hold their map, however they want.
Yeah.
There's really not anything that either side can do that either the Eldar or the IG can actually do against this.
Yeah, it's somewhat interesting to see that Adila, with only his hero and 3 basic squads with some upgrades, does so well against Topi.
Well, it's the same thing they've been doing for most of the tournament. They've been doing this constant setup of just having their Rags do whatever he needs to hold the map and just gain little bits of map for his teammate. Meanwhile, Adila just keeps decapping it all across the map. I mean, look at even this little engagement. Sure, the Chaos Dreadnought, he might go down, but who cares? Considering how much more sustainability the Chaos have against this.
It's somewhat laggy in the game.
A little bit, yes.
The Wraith Lord will surely kill this Dreadnought. Yes, a Dreadnought equipped. That's
okay, and then they lose the Wraith Lord, and then that's really all the vehicles they have.
Wraith Guard is down too. Wraith Lord down right now. And there's no way.
There's another Let the Galaxy Burn on that on those IG squads.
Yeah, look at this.
Burning one to death. Almost like literally one squad is on like no health. They just pop a commander, and there's the concede. Actually, did we have? Yeah, we had Terminators dropped for the Space Marines. Didn't even notice.
Okay.
And they were actually going to attack and kill that Lehman Rust tank. It was just really. It was really, really unnecessary for the Imperial Guard to even try to go tier 3 on that. They just had no sustainability in the field. They should have stayed in tier 2, gotten some more sustainable units, and really pushed out against the Chaos. Chaos in general is a good counter to the Imperial Guard because of how much AoE they have, but the Imperial Guard should have really tried to take an advantage of what they had in numbers up first. But Rags just took his advantage of double Zinch Marines and just range blocked them to death with double Zinch Marines and grenade launchers.
Yeah, it really was the right decision from Rex going all range DPS against double sand. Really punished the game from Freeman, and Freeman didn't adapt quite.